two stories remain as unbeatens collide for the title.
Could it get any more dramatic?
Jim Harbaugh and the Wolverines are looking to finish the mission, while Michael Penix Jr. and the Huskies hope to write their perfect ending.
The final chapter, and the stakes couldn't be higher.
A new playoff champion will be crowned. The College Football Playoff National Championship. Number 1 Michigan versus number 2 Washington. Monday at 7:30 Eastern on ESPN.
This episode is brought to you by Shady Brook Farms. If you're looking for ways to make mealtime healthier in the new year, make your favorite recipes with turkey from Shady Brook Farms. Take the pressure off, keep it simple and tasty without sacrificing flavor for nutrition. Whether you want a delicious sandwich or a post-workout protein, Shady Brook Farms turkey can do it all. Visit shadybrookfarms.com for recipe inspiration and to find retailers near you. Shady Brook Farms. Eat what you love.
Hello and welcome to the Paddock and The Pavilion with Stephen Wallace. In each show, Stephen will interview someone connected to the world of horse racing or cricket.
If you are a cricketer, perhaps your dream holiday would be to play cricket all around the world. In our latest What Was It Like To episode, you will find out through the words of Jenny Thompson, a former Cheshire County player who is currently racing around the world playing the greatest game. In only her second match, Jenny teamed up with the Hong Kong Divas for the opening match at the 2023 FairBreak Invitational event in Hong Kong against a World 11. Now, you can't beat that, can you? Jenny, what was it like to play against a World 11?
Well, it's not something that you do every day. And it was very difficult to put into words, to be honest. And I asked every single one of my teammates, and the common theme was speechless. And, it's been a while since the match concluded, and I'm still processing it. But that's not very helpful for you right now. So what I will say is, in the weeks leading up to it, I had extreme panic attacks. And partly because I'm just starting a world tour of cricket, but also because this is the biggest start to a world tour of cricket that I couldn't even have imagined. And I've got a pretty good imagination, and I really couldn't have thought of it. And, it was billed as the All-Stars, and that was not false advertising whatsoever. There was Mignon, Dupre, Shemaine Campbell, Laura Wolvaardt, Phoebe Litchfield. The list just went on and on. Bismah, Maroof, Sadamia. And then, as if that wasn't terrifying enough, they announced Alex Blackwell as the coach. I thought, give us a chance, So it was just really extraordinary, and it was possibly the best experience of my life, and that was shared by my team, and it was lovely to take the field with everyone. But having had weeks of nervous anticipation, and it's no exaggeration to say terror, on the day I woke up quite calm, and I was staying in the same accommodation as our captain Josie, and she was just writing out the fielding positions and everything, and the team lists, and we were actually fairly calm. And then we did some warm-ups. Luckily, most of my team had already played on Kowloon Cricket Club ground before, and the competition that my team, the Divas, play in is on the AstroTurf hard wicket. And I hadn't realised, but Kowloon is actually hard wicket provision as well as grass. So we were playing on the hard wicket, and we played a club match the day before on the hard wicket. So that was quite helpful. And before the match, the players gave us each a cap. There was a presentation, and we each got to speak with a player. And Shemaine Campbell gave me my cap, and she's so lovely, extremely sweet. And I explained to her what I was doing, and she said, "Oh, that's great. I wish you lots of luck." And she said, "Really, just enjoy the experience." So by the time we got onto the pitch, it was less a question of nerves and more one of enjoyment and wonder. It was surreal. It really was.
What an introduction! I think I better say something. That's the longest introduction I think I've ever had, but it was worth it to hear you talk about what was it like. It is the stuff of dreams, but you are, you're a former county player in Cheshire, and you played grade A cricket also in Australia, in Adelaide, as I understand, and played with a former Australian captain as well. So.
Karen Rodson, who was the captain at the time, and I was first changed behind Emma Sampson, who was Australia's opening bowler. And I said, I'd only just got to Australia and I just rocked up at my local club, and this is the kind of thing that happened. And I said, wow, who else is in our league? And they said, Shelley Nitschke. I said, oh, right, I've just voted her. I was on the panel who just voted her as the International Player of the Year. And growing up in England, where you've got this, in the era that we grew up, you've got this vision of Aussies as sporting gods, and, they beam in the triathlon to our rainy shores. And, it was a real introduction to Australian cricket. And it is true, my era, if you will, was I've played in sort of junior England trial squads with Charlotte Edwards, Claire Connor, Claire Taylor.
Name dropping now, you see, yeah.
Well, Laura Newton. It's more, it's not name dropping so much as that all is surreal. It always is surreal to me, because I don't know, a lot of the time I feel like I'm a lucky observer in life, and I suppose that feeds into, any work that I've done as a journalist. And I always just feel massively privileged to be part of anything, even as a witness in certain ways. But back in the day, if you will, I was playing extremely regularly and you didn't overthink it. Whereas this match, it was on the back of, I'd had a decade out of cricket, and I've only been playing again the last 2 years. And my strong suit used to be bowling, but I've had the yips for 2 years. Serious, we're talking double bouncing, no balls, wide, beamers. It's been really, really bad. I've had another terrible season, which I'm just coming off the back of in Australia. And suddenly it's not just, bowling in front of TV cameras, and the rest of the FairBreak teams were sitting watching. So you've got, 60 odd internationals watching you play against these internationals. It's then the quality of the internationals who you're playing. I was just happy to not bowl any no balls. And I think I just only bowled one wide, and that was, I was quite proud of giving it a go, really.
How did the game come about? How did you finish up playing in this game?
Okay, I will warn you, this is a long answer. So a couple of months ago, I decided to press go on a project which I first thought of about 5 years ago. And it's called Her World Cricket Tour. And in it, I'm going around to over 50 countries and playing cricket and meeting women and girls within the game and discussing their stories. And so I thought FairBreak is the best tournament to start with, because I've always been interested in women's empowerment, dating back to my days, even within cricket clubs and being on committees, and then as a journalist for Cricinfo, writing about both men's and women's cricket. So I thought FairBreak is just such an amazing idea, and it really delivers. And I thought, well, if I start in Hong Kong, that would be a brilliant thematic way to kick off my tour. I didn't think I'll start by playing at FairBreak, but what happened was I was put in touch with Animesh Kulkarni, who is the manager of the Hong Kong Divas, who are the Filipina domestic helpers who live in Hong Kong, and they use their one day off a week to play cricket. And their story is world famous. And I'd already heard of them, and then I was invited to play alongside them in a club match on the Sunday in Hong Kong.
So this was your pre-match match for the big match, yeah.
It really was. But having said that, that match was crucial for getting into the top 4. So my team were more worried about that match. I was worried about all of it, but they were more worried about that match. So I thought, well, at that time, I thought, well, this is brilliant. I've got a club match with the Divas, who are a brilliant, inspirational team and story. And then I get to, watch at FairBreak. Brilliant. But then it multiplied even further when it turned out that the Divas were playing at FairBreak, because FairBreak recognise how brilliant the women are, and what it's not easy life, but cricket is brilliant and very empowering for the women, and I've spent a week alongside the team, and it's just been a real privilege. I love them. They're just really brilliant humans, and I've already said I'm coming back. Like, I can't not see these women ever again. They're my friends now, and I've been invited to the Philippines as well. So that's how it came about. And then suddenly we were playing at FairBreak.
You said it was a long story. Some of the Philippines players do play for the Philippine national side. Some of the Divas do play for the Philippine national side, though.
It's most of the team. The Philippines women's national team was conceptualized in Hong Kong on the back of the Divas. The captain, Josie, she is the captain of the Divas and the Philippines. There is scant cricket in the Philippines. Without the Hong Kong Divas, there would have not been a Philippines women's team. I think there's a few players who are softballers who transfer to cricket in the Philippines. And there's one player in Australia who is half Filipina. But no, there's it's Hong Kong based. It's the Divas who pretty much form the Philippines national team.
And the Divas have been going since 2017. Tell me a little bit about, you said they work 6 days a week and play cricket on the other day, on the Sunday.
On the Sunday, yeah, that's correct. So few opportunities to train. Training's pretty much before or after the match. And, the skills, the standard is phenomenal. The women mainly have played softball before, so they've got the hand-eye and they've got the fielding. But I've been laughing this week as each player has told me their individual experience of the transfer over from softball. One of my team, Joy Levino, she actually played in proper FairBreak, if you will. She played for the Sapphires last year in the first tournament in the UAE. She's a really handy, fast opening bowler. And she said to me, she's been playing 5 years, and she said she's an accidental cricketer in the respect that she had seen an advert. She was in the Philippines and she'd sort of seen an advert or a photo of the game in Hong Kong, and she contacted someone thinking it was softball, and she turned up and she was like, this ball's not soft. The bat's not round. What is this game? And Josie, the captain, she was playing softball in Hong Kong, and she looked across the road and she saw there was, well, she didn't know what it was, but it was cricket. She said, I saw people in white and they were just running back and forth. I didn't know what was going on. So she went over to investigate, and then she fell into cricket. So, and then she got all her softball team over. So it's good fun. It's a good story.
And they're working during the week and then sending money back to the Philippines.
Yeah, pretty much. And the work is not easy. It's very long hours. And, you know, it depends on kind of, you can get lucky in terms of having an understanding employer, but sometimes, you know, you can start at 5:30 and still be working at 1:30. And on a Sunday, you know, it's by law 24 hours off, but not every player is that lucky. Some have to prepare meals and clothes for the family before they come to cricket. And then there's a curfew. You know, they have to be back at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock. So
cricket's a real release to them then, isn't it? The cricket's a real release for them.
It's a release. It's a community. It's Joanne Badillo she is an absolutely phenomenal person. I sat with her and she just told me so many interesting things. And she said to me, you know, before I was very stressed. I, you know, was thinking all the time about being a domestic helper and, you know, my family back in the Philippines and when would I see them? And then I discovered cricket, and cricket has changed everything. That's what she said. It's changed everything. And, you know, I asked her what she liked about it and what in particular about cricket. And she said, it's not a sport for the weak. She said, you know, it's like going out on the battlefield and you're defending your life and you don't know what kind of bowling you're going to face. Will it be pace bowling? Will it be spin? The knuckleball? That's what she said. And she just loves it. And she said, you know, like I said, she said it's changed everything. And I think that is what cricket can do, isn't it? It's transformational. You know, myself, I had 10 years out of the game and then I came back to it. And my mental health and self-esteem just immediately shot up. And it was funny because I probably hadn't given cricket the credit for what it can do for you until I'd had that time out. And then you come back and, you know, for me personally, I mean, I'm privileged in that I'm from England and I live in Australia and I have many opportunities to play cricket. In Australia, I can play pretty much every night of the week if I want in various competitions, you know, and yet it's still, there's that benefit for me. And then, you know, I'm hoping as I go around the world just to see how cricket benefits and empowers many other women and girls, but also to look at the barriers to participation and what, if anything, can be done about that.
Well, let's talk about the match itself. How did it go for the Divas and yourself? I've seen a clip of you bowling on Instagram. What was it like bowling to people like Sophia Dunkley and, you know, Deandre Dottin and people like that?
It was a blur and it was wonderful. And again, the word is surreal, because I did bowl against Sophia Dunkley, and I told her afterwards, I said, you're my batting idol. I watch YouTubes of you hitting lofted drives, and I'm trying to do it. And she said, just keep going, don't give up. I was like, I'll try not to. And Phoebe Litchfield, I bowled to her as well, and she is just she's so exciting as a talent. I'm just can't wait to watch her whole career from Australia. She's just at the beginning. She's been hitting 50s for fun. She got 50 in the first match at FairBreak, and I thought, if you hit me for a 6, that's a privilege. It doesn't matter. I just enjoy watching it go to the boundary. But she only managed a 4. And then later I bowled I had a shout against Shemaine Campbell, and Lauren Winfield Hill hit this beautiful, she's very good at that lofted drive, 1 bounce 4. And I just enjoyed watching it. It's a privilege really to watch these players at close quarters. I was terrified about the fielding as well, but we all managed to, I think, acquit ourselves quite well. And we had so much support from the sidelines. All of the professionals were really on the Divas side, so it was good fun. And from 10 overs, I would not say that they were going easy on us batting wise. They definitely were. We bowled pretty tight lines, and they got 55 from 10 overs.
And how did the Divas fare when they went into bat?
Well, pretty well, because, as I've said, the girls will, from a softball background, they've got that hand-eye clean hitting. When they strike, it normally, stays hit. So that was really pleasing. And for myself, I faced Katherine Sciver Brunt, who completely was not trying. But even when she was bowling slow, she was too fast for me. But that's okay. The bounce on the hard wicket was just too much. I mean, I edged one here, I sort of guided one there, but it was great. I love facing her. And then Sana Mir she was a little bit more soft on me, and I managed my favourite shot, the full shot. I did manage to hit a 4. I got a big chair, which I thought was lovely. But afterwards, I overheard some of the professionals really genuinely in admiration of the Divas, because yes, they're Philippines players, and yes, Joy has played at FairBreak before, and another player who's currently in the Philippines, Jennifer Alumbro. But you really don't know how the standards are going to align. But everyone was really, really proud and really happy. And, Alex Blackwell, I heard her say, they were really good, weren't they? And Sophia Dunkley as well. She's like, they were unreal. So that was lovely. And I understand Lauren Winfield Hill was quite emotional about the game. She really connected with everything that was going on, and it's just what I loved about the game was that it was a real reminder for the professionals about why they play, and what cricket can do. And the fact that cricket, when you strip it back down, it's supposed to be fun and you're supposed to enjoy it. And the opposition certainly did. It wasn't really just all, the Divas we're so happy. It was genuine joy on both sides. It was just brilliant, just fabulous, a great atmosphere. And in terms of opening up FairBreak and what that tournament stands for and what it delivers, it was just really perfect, really feel good, real great, just brilliant. None of us will ever forget it.
You mentioned FairBreak. I must ask you, I've asked this question many times to other associate players and players who've played in it, what does FairBreak mean to you?
FairBreak means opportunity, quite simply. You know, it gives opportunities for a very, very fair, more than fair payment for players, which is life-changing in many instances. Just one appearance at FairBreak can really set someone up to educate their daughter, or to, you know, build a house, or to take back skills and knowledge into communities, and to be that role model and inspire, you know, people within their communities, just to say, hey, if you work hard at, it doesn't have to be cricket, whatever you work hard at, there can be those opportunities. But also at the tournament itself, it's great that, you know, different tier players can see that they're just as good as the more traditional professionals, if you will. But just being in that environment is such a learning experience. And it was very interesting hearing from Roberta Avery, who said to me, she's the captain of Brazil.
Brazil, yeah. She's been on this podcast 2 or 3 times, so yeah.
Good old Roberta, she's brilliant. And she was saying to me, you know, because now we're in our second iteration of FairBreak, first time around, there were a few nerves from the players from the lower tier countries mixing with the big names. But this time around, they've had that experience. You know, there's only a few new players. So now they're growing from that. They're already comfortable to come in, and then they can grow their game and their, you know, their confidence even further. So the more FairBreaks that there are, the better it will be for world cricket, for women. So, you know, I just think it's a brilliant concept. And also, I tell you what it also means to me, the story of how FairBreak came to be, and it means resilience to me, because I know exactly how hard and for how long Sean Martin and others had to persist to get FairBreak up, you know, where 80 to 90% of other people would have just thrown their hands in the air and walked away. He didn't. And that is testimony to resilience. I think there's a lesson in that for all of us.
There certainly is. Where next for the tour?
The tour is heading to Thailand, Cambodia, Malaysia, Singapore, South Korea, Vietnam, South Korea, Japan, Philippines, PNG, then back to Australia, then off to Indonesia for a week, where months ago I booked a holiday to Bali with my friend, and I said to her, hey, can we crash it with some cricket? So now we're hanging out with the Indonesian players and taking over some kit which has been donated, which is really good. Then I come back for a weekend, Europe for 2 months, back for a month, then the Americas for 2 months, then back to Adelaide for the whole cricket season, 6 months.
You should have one of those shirts, you know, like, you know, Jenny on tour shirts with all the dates on the back of the shirt, shouldn't you?
Oh yeah, that's right. herworldcrickettour. Yes. The thing is that it's sort of an evolving, I was going to say beast. It's an evolving situation at the moment. So I only have firm dates for a few places. Maybe I could just, you know, put the destinations and, you know, the year, because this will take 3 years in total.
Well, the very best of luck for the tour. And to end, did you ever think you would play against a World 11 in a cricket match?
Absolutely not. I thought you were going to finish that with, did you ever think you'd play again? Which I didn't, when I quit 12 years ago. So if you told me I would be not only playing, but I'd be playing on a world tour. I'd be playing on a world tour with the Divas against a World 11. Even I, as I said before, would have thought, well, nobody could have dreamt this up. No. So no, and again, no. And it will take a very long time to sink in. It might take 5 or 10 years, but luckily I've got lots of photographs and videos. So, I've always got those memories.
Well, thank you very much, Jenny, for sharing your What Was It Like To moment with me.
Thank you so much, Stephen.
Thank you for listening to the Paddock and the Pavilion.
Follow us on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram at the Pad and Pav. Don't forget, if you like the show, please do leave us a rating and review.
Sports Social Podcast Network.